The dabbler. The dabbler, the dabbler, the dabbler. The person who dabbles in business, they never really get anywhere. They start Amazon and they dabble in it. They sell a couple of books, they send an item in, they try out Replane Catcher, they dabble a little bit, they get some results, but then they hit a roadblock. They hit a challenge. Maybe they're gated in a bunch of products. That's a challenge. I got to get ungated, right? They give up, they quit. Or, the dabbler will start doing eBay to Amazon, and they'll buy an item, it'll get delivered to them from eBay, and the item's damaged, even though in the picture it looked great, and the eBay seller, maybe they scammed you or tried to pull the wool over your eyes, or it got damaged during delivery. It's a challenge. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna go do Walmart now, right? So then that seller goes on to Walmart, starts selling, having a little bit of success, right? The grass is always greener on the other side, and they start selling, and everybody's talking about how Walmart's so much better than Amazon, and Amazon's a dictator, and Walmart's the new kid on the block, and it's the cool place to go, and the fees are low, and nothing's gated, no IP complaints, and then boom, they just restrict entire categories, right? And this person, we'll call them the dabbler, they say, oh, Walmart, man, Walmart's not for me. This isn't gonna work for me. So what do? They jump ship, They're not all in, they're dabbling. So they quit Amazon because they were just dabbling. They were just putting their toe in the water. And when things got tough, got a little chilly, boom, pulling my toe out the water. I'm heading to another ocean, another lake to go swimming in. Walmart gets tough, boom, they're out. And then what do? They go on to eBay, right? And they start selling on eBay. They start dabbling a little bit. And, next thing you know, they're selling and they're like, oh, this is a lot of work. I got to do everything myself. I got to go to all these thrift stores. The prices at the thrift stores are getting higher. It's getting, more challenging. There's people there who Steve Rakin always calls them the thrift store vultures, and they live at the thrift store. They're all day long. Every time new stuff comes out, they're attacking it, right? They're like vultures with the roadkill on the side of the road. And when they see it, they come and they're so fast and I can't get it. And it's like anxious, and it's annoying having to compete with these vultures that are there all the time. And I say, you know what? I'm going to go find something else. So I go on YouTube and I watch some videos and I hear about TikTok affiliate. It's such a great opportunity. It's amazing. And there's this thing called creator connections. And essentially all I have to do is get 3,000 followers on TikTok or on Instagram or on my YouTube, and then I can get approved. And okay, so I'm going to do this because then I can just review products. I don't have to even go out. Products will come to me. I can review it. And once I review it, it's passive income. I keep making more money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a TikTok account and I'm going to get 3,000 followers. And guess what? This person dabbles in that. They post a bunch of videos, maybe 5 or 10, and then their videos aren't getting views. Maybe they get 20, 30, 40 followers, and they're like, oh, this isn't as easy as what everybody else said. Like, they said you could just make all these videos and make money, but I got to get approved, and I posted 7 videos and I didn't get 3,000 followers. So they quit. They give up. This is too hard. And then they move on to the next thing. This is the dabbler. And I see this all the time. And I used to do this, but one thing that I would always do is I always had my bread and butter. I always had 1 or 2 things that were my bread and butter, where it was making enough money for me to pay my bills, take care of my, my basic costs of living, right? And then I would dabble in other things, right? But what I realized is dabbling never really works, right? Because the reality is, it doesn't matter if you want to start an eBay business, an Amazon business, TikTok affiliate, whatever it is you want to do in business, right? Maybe you're just coming out of high school or college and you've been watching all these videos and you want to start making money, and you see people having success. You have friends, you see me, you see other folks, normal people, everyday people making money. They're not working 9 to 5s. You've been watching my channel for 13 years, right? Or maybe you go back, you're like, wow, this guy had a full set of hair back in 2012. He's never worked a job since. He quit the Cracker Barrel delivering pizzas, got arrested at 21, was on probation, was going to become an X-ray tech, quit it, he's been reselling, he's been flipping, he's been making content, he's been making money online for 13 years. This is possible, right? What you have to understand is it doesn't matter what you choose. Everything is going to be hard. There's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be things that come up. You're not going to know if A, you're going to enjoy it until you get into it. B, you're not going to know how to make it work until you get into it. Like sometimes, like for example, like when I first started eBay, right? You know, I was coming from flipping bicycles. So like, I thought I was going to be flipping like sports equipment, or like, I even started flipping like baseball gloves, and I was even selling some bikes on eBay as well. Like, I thought that was going to be my niche, right? But then like, as I got into it more and more, I started like coming across all these clothes and shoes. And I was like, wow, there's so much clothing at the thrift store. And I didn't know I was going to start with clothes. Like, I just got into eBay because Craigslist, at the time I was flipping bikes. You know, this was back when I was 25. I sold about $20,000 worth of bicycles, like Cannondales, Rallies, Specialized bicycles. Like, I would buy them on Craigslist and flip them on Craigslist. I'm in Connecticut, winter hit, and it stopped selling. Like, bikes stopped selling because people aren't riding their bikes in the wintertime in Connecticut, and we have a long winter and a cold season over here. So I got into eBay, right? And I made the decision to get into eBay, and I thought I was going to be flipping again, sporting equipment, baseball gloves, like all that. But then I realized there's like not enough bikes and gloves and sporting equipment to like make a full-time living. And then I found clothing, and the only reason I found it is because I went all in and I figured it out along the way. So the problem is, when you're just dabbling in business, right? Like, if you think about a business as like, think of it as like a sphere or a ball, right? Like, if you're just dabbling on the outside of the ball, you don't really know the core of the business. Inside of the core of the ball, the core of the apple, whatever you want to call it, like, you got to get into it to figure out what works, because everything on social media is just like the outside, right? It's just the surface level. You got to get into the core. You got to bite into the apple. And the only way to get to the core is by immersing yourself into whatever it is you want to do, taking action, and then recorrecting your course, like correcting your course as you're doing whatever it is you're wanting to do. And I see this all the time. People, they want to start making money with eBay to Amazon like I do, and they're just dabbling on the outside. They're just scratching the surface, right? And it's okay to scratch the surface in the beginning, but what you have to understand is the only way to get to the core is by taking a ton of action, making mistakes, learning from your mistakes, recorrecting your course, and, you know, continuing to overcome challenge after challenge, problem after problem. Because again, what I share on my YouTube channel, what other people do about whatever it is you're trying to learn, you have to understand, like, that's just the outside. To get in, you have to get into it. You can't dabble. Too many people just dabble. They just play around. They just mess around. They're not really serious. They take a little bit of action, and when one thing gets hard, they're out. It's been one of the biggest lessons, you know, over my 12, 13 years of, you know, being a YouTuber, of selling on Amazon, of selling on eBay, of, you know, making hundreds of thousands of dollars through my own courses and programs and coaching and affiliate marketing, you know, getting into real estate, having rental properties, investing, starting my own software company, investing in other software companies, right? It's all a learning experience, right? So, you know, anytime you want to be successful at something, yes, you want to research and you want to, you know, learn and you want to educate yourself. But then eventually you're going to have to dive in. And the problem is, if you only dive in with one toe and you just dabble, and when the water gets a little cold, you're out, you're never going to be successful, right? I see it all the time. The dabbler, the dabbler, the dabbler, the dabbler. So ask yourself right now, are you a dabbler? Or are you going all in, understanding it's not going to be easy, understanding I'm not going to just get instant success, understanding that every challenge is a pathway, right? Like, when you hit challenges, you shouldn't look at it like, oh my God, this isn't going to work. A challenge is essentially sharing with you a direction that you need to go. It's like a concrete wall that you have to blast through. And when you blast through that challenge and you overcome it, you know, your direction, it's like the high beams, they go on. You could see the next step and the next step, and every next step as you grow is just a challenge that's going to get you closer and closer to getting your result, to having success, to making money. This is why most people aren't successful in business, is because they look at every challenge as, man, this wasn't meant to be, right? And then they dabble and they jump, you know, to the next easier opportunity, right? But they never really get a feel for if they could be successful, because they never get to the core. They're just dabbling on the outside. So let me know your thoughts of this video, guys. Are you a dabbler? Are you all in? What is it that you're looking to learn right now? Drop a comment down below. Are you looking to learn books? Are you looking to learn eBay? Are you looking to learn maybe investing in your first rental property? Let me know. Leave a comment down below. But with that being said, guys, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching this channel. Thank you for liking the videos. Thank you for asking your questions. And yeah, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you guys. I love making these videos, and yeah, there's a lot of opportunity out there. You've just got to go all in, right? And just not be the dabbler. Do not be the dabbler. All right, guys, much love. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Smash that like button and have a beautiful day. Bye, guys.